I always used to get angry when people ask me okay, because I'm like, I'm okay, you know, but like used to be scared to just explain why I'm not okay, you know, so I would just be like, I'm okay. But now I feel safe to tell her what's actually wrong and just have that crutch.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we all really need that, bro. Considering the fact that I think that as much as we are conscious, like progressively getting better at talking about our feelings, like publicly and stuff with our friends and shit, there's still a lot of like people that, I mean, even including myself, like sometimes I'm going through shit that I just don't tell anybody about, and I'm like, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that because I have a lot of times where I'm like, people will ask me like, what you been up to or how you been, and I literally will be like, give me a second. Let me give you an honest answer, because we don't give honest answers enough when it comes to that shit, you know.
Life's too short. You got to tell your story, you know.
Yeah.
And if it's not too good, at least you can get something off your chest, because regardless if it's good or bad, weight will always come down on your shoulders, you know.
I agree, bro. How's work been, bro? I know that you just started a new job. How's that been fueling your creative process?
So it's a different type of creative process, which is out of my element, but it's nice because I'm starting to get the hang of it. Been there 2 weeks, so I'm doing cabinet work right now, right? So I build tables, I do a lot of granite work and everything.
Okay.
So part of my job is I get to do the blueprints.
I love that you I love how you framed it as a different type of creative, because that's really it is creative work.
Dude, it's so much.
That's so dope, bro. Like perspective.
There's a lot of math into it. Math's an art form too,
Yeah.
which is I never knew that.
For sure.
Art form.
Yeah.
So a lot of math, and then I also have to draw out some blueprints and everything. Usually I get a big granite slab. I have to draw out the actual design that's on the blueprint, and then I cut.
Damn.
You know, sand stuff down, and then, you know, we go to the actual facility wherever it's going, and we install it at somebody's place. So we get to look at, let's say, somebody's living room, and they're like, oh, it'll look. I go and take pictures. I'm like, it'll look good here, and I get to consult with the client, and I'm like, basically, they're what's the word?
Like an interior designer almost.
Pretty much, yeah. And I'm like, oh, these cabinets will look good with your countertops that you have already. Like, it's a different art form. It's nice. The one thing that gets to me is just the hours.
Yeah, it's very intense.
Still getting used to waking up really early.
Yeah. You were telling me you wake up like at 5:30, or you work at 5:30?
So I wake up like 4:30.
Same.
Work at 5:30.
Yeah, bro. We're on that grind, my brother. I'm glad that I can find somebody. We damn near work a night shift, you know?
Technically, yeah.
We damn near work a night shift. So it's really hard sometimes that, like, when 2 p.m. comes around, you feeling it, bro. Like, damn, I could take a nap
after lunch, because like I'll eat something a little heavier, and I'm like, man, that's just a remedy for sleep.
Yeah, bro. It's just the right thing. But it gives us time to also like create throughout the day. That's what I've been like really like. I know that you mentioned like you have a lot of 12-hour days, and I definitely feel the same way. Like, bro, sometimes I'll get back at 8 p.m. and I'm like, fuck, bro. Like, I worked and I did a bunch of meetings or consulting or fucking video stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you could like kind of get on the same ground where it's like we got to make time for everything else too. So, what else you been doing besides work? Obviously, your relationship. What are you doing? Are you doing anything differently creatively as of lately? I know that you were telling me you were stepping away a little bit from photography, right?
I'm definitely stepping a little away from at least digital photography. This is kind of not shitty on my part, but more of, I would say, selfish. I mostly was looking at photography for money. I wasn't looking at it for, hey, I actually like doing it. I was like, oh, this is a quick buck. This is, you know, film is completely different. Film, I love just film, you know. But digital photography is just, I was starting to hate it more than love it. You know, I was starting to get annoyed by the fact, like, I got to take pictures. I got to do this. Like,
yeah.
And usually it's supposed to be I get to do this stuff. But, like, I just...
You feel out of love.
The whole fact, I'm like, I just got to do it. And I don't know. It was more of... It's not necessarily a hatred. It was just more of getting tired, burnt out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's important for us to always try different mediums. I think that's what you could call it, mediums of art and shit like that.
And I've been seeing you've been painting.
Yeah, bro, that's actually a project. I have a project that I'm kind of like piloting, I guess is the right word, like kind of starting out.
Yeah.
And it's called.
Yeah.
And basically it's really a way for creatives to express themselves through art. So I'm trying to get a couple of different creatives to come to a studio.
Yeah.
Put some headphones on and really kind of throw up onto the like the canvas with paintings and like whatever abstract they really feel through the song.
I love that.
It's a direct reflection of how they're feeling,
Yeah.
like they're really feeling it in their body and they're directly putting it onto the canvas, as abstract as it may be. So that's something I'm like working on right now, bro, just because mental health is so important.
Most definitely.
And I mean, it really circles back to what you were talking about earlier. It's like we don't have enough people that are willing to be like, yeah, man, I'm not feeling okay.
Yes.
So in this case, they don't even have to say anything. We can see everything just through the canvas.
Let the image speak. They say an image speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah, it definitely absolutely can. Exactly. And I mean, that's how like painters did it back in the day too. Like there were no like photographers per se. So they would paint moments in time and we still like reflect on them to this day, like thousands if not hundreds of years later. So.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Mona Lisa in a sense. Like,
yeah, even that
was why she's got a tiny smirk,
yeah.
But millions and millions of people each year go just to look at her essence that she put. There's so many emotions that tie into just that simple little tiny smirk.
Yeah.
And it's just a simple headshot.
It's not, I don't know if it would be simple, but maybe it would simple.
Take hours.
Or maybe we look into it too much, bro. Like maybe I feel like there's so much shit to that painting that like,
because it could.
I'm like,
I've even just been. She's like, hey, I think it's like cute.
For real. Like, and then like people are like trying to like crack codes to it and stuff. It's like, nah, bro, it's just a painting. So maybe we're doing too much. Who knows? Art is subjective. That's the beauty of it.
True.
That's the beauty of it. But yeah, bro, just really highlighting the fact that we need to talk a little bit more about the shit that we've gone through, And that's what I'm kind of doing with this right now. It's giving creatives a conversation to kind of talk about like how they became creatives and why they decide to bridge the gap between what they feel into the visual world, So with that being said, I'm curious, like, what drove you to creative work in general?
So we're here.
Yeah.
So this is where a lot of stuff rooted for me.
The skate park.
Yeah, this skate park specifically. I've been coming here, say, about 15, 16 years. Skating by itself is just an art form, and it's so freeing. There's no one could do it the same as anybody else. Everybody has their own style, everything. So it's more of no one could judge you. There's no uniform.
Yeah.
There's no specific way you're supposed to do it. It's a very freeing. It's not necessarily a sport. I wouldn't call it a sport.
Really?
So
you need skill for a sport, though, right?
That is true, but skateboarding, since it started, has always been looked down on, and people have always like looked at skateboarding as more of like something as vandalism or
right, yeah, rebellious,
yeah, and because it's freeing, it's an art form. A lot of stuff like that, people are like, oh, you're rebelling and stuff just because you want to express yourself in a different way than the norm.
Right.
And
it's not like mainstream.
Yeah. And skateboarding, one, it influenced my how I dress. I created a clothing brand, and that's specifically just centered around skateboarding as well. Streetwear.
Yeah, it bled it right into
streetwear originated from skateboarding.
Right. That's right.
I met Ryder through skateboarding. I met him in school, obviously, but you skate, I skate. Let's go skate.
Yeah.
We skated here.
Go to community.
And Ryder's the person that put the first camera in my hand. He's the person that really
just said, do it. You got this.
We used to go around and he's like, hey, hold the camera. And I'm like, I might as well just start doing this. Like I started to fall in love with it. We had so many sleepless nights that I would never take back. It was just such a beautiful, freeing feeling, which felt like skateboarding.
I was going to ask, like, did it feel the same way?
And I was like, I can do so many different things. I don't have to fit in. And it just opened that gap to where I was like, this is amazing. And I could bring it to skateboarding. So I do, I film a lot of skateboarders. I do photography with skaters. And that's genuinely bringing me back to my original roots and collaborating with both things that I love the most.
Yeah. What would you say was so freeing about the skateboarding experience? You think it's like a flow state almost?
Like, so this this park specifically, I know this skate park like the back of my hand. Like, I could flow this skate park for at least 20, 30 minutes without stopping, just going.
Wow.
I mean, not missing a trick. Just, it's created a lot of just muscle memory for me. I just know I could skate this park with my eyes closed, man.
When did you start? Like, years-wise, like, how old were you?
So I was in and out for a while when I was younger. My dad used to be a skateboarder, and he put me on the board around 2 or 3 years old. I continued till about 10, and then I started playing sports. I got into sports. Early middle school, around 13, 14, I started coming here, and one of my buddies in middle school was like, "Let's start skating again." And
That's dope.
since then, just been on the board almost every day.
That's beautiful, bro. I used to skate when I was a jit, like maybe 13, I would say 13, 14.
Yeah.
We had just moved up to Orlando-ish area, like around where I live. Actually, to Webster. You guys have been to Webster.
Yeah.
So we moved to Webster. Yeah, so we moved to Webster, bro, of all places. And, bro, like, it was very much an escape for me. Personally, that's what it was. Like, I don't skate anymore. But at the time, like, I was, it was a very massive shift of lifestyle, like, in my life, just moving from Miami to, like, the countryside. And so there was a lot of times where, like, there was shit going on at the house, and I would just go skate.
Yeah.
And it was, like, a very freeing feeling, bro. It was something that, back to what you were saying, like, you just, it's like a flow state, bro.
It's kind of similar, you know. Home life wasn't meant out to what it was.
Yeah.
You know, I messed up my words there. It wasn't cut out to be like the American dream, I would say.
Yeah.
You know.
At home.
Yeah. You know, parents always fighting, whatnot. You know, so I would just get dropped off here, and I don't even need to put headphones in. I just come here, and as soon as I step on my board, my mind just clears. Like, it's like all thoughts are racing million miles per hour. As soon as I step on, the only thing that I think about is just me and my board. I'm just let the board take me instead of me taking the board.
If I asked you what a day, let's say you come home from school one day, we were maybe 16, 15. What did home sound like at the time? Was it
hectic?
Tell me a little bit more. Give me like some sensory input, you know? Like, I'm curious, like, what it was like, bro.
So picture this, right? So this, just beforehand, long story short, we lost our house when I was about 16, and I had to move out, right?
Yeah.
So get this. You get off the school bus, I don't even want to go home. You know, I'm trying to find anything I could do without going home. Go to the park, just figure something out.
Wow.
I get home, first thing, they're fighting. You know, my dad's stepmom fighting. The house is hot because we're about to lose our house. We have no AC. The house is hot, so it's muggy, sticky, laundry everywhere. Like, just, dude, hectic, man. Little, like, just kind of smell like a wet smell, which is not the best.
No, that's so.
I just there used to be this tree in my front yard, so I would go inside, drop my backpack off, and take my siblings because I don't want them hearing that. They were young at the time. Let's go outside, guys. We would climb the tree and we would sit out there for hours. And I just felt we called it the pirate tree. So it was a big mangrove tree in our front yard, and we put like wood planks in there, and we basically built a tree house. And like, let's go to the pirate tree, guys. We would spend hours out there. Just they would do whatever they did inside, and I'm just like, you guys can come out here and absorb just the quietness, you know, because they were always in the mix too.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just a safe haven for them just as much as it was for me.
That was such a good description, bro. That's probably the best one somebody has given me as far as description.
It was like that for like years.
I really like how you pointed out how, because I've heard this from my father. When I'll have these conversations with him about how was home like when you were, because he was considered a rebel child.
Okay.
But really it was because of a lot of things that were going on at home. And
yeah.
One thing that always stuck out to me is that he would hate to go home. Like, once he got home from school, like, he would do anything to not go home.
Yeah.
And so that really stood out to me, bro. Like, his creative outlet was music. Like, he would play drums and stuff. So that stuck out to me, like, about how much, like, I even had those moments where we don't necessarily want to go home to that anymore.
Yeah. You know, it's not a safe place in a sense. You know, you want to be somewhere where you could be safe, comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, like where you can express yourself. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. You think nature played a big role? I know that you mentioned the tree and stuff, but do you think nature has played a big role here?
I could say I've definitely spent more time in that tree than I have in my own bed. You know,
Wow.
like I would go up there, do homework, I would read, listen to music, and we had a big tire swing too. So I just watched my little siblings on the tree, you know, and it was just nice.
What's your relationship with your siblings now?
So my parents are split. They've been split. My dad passed a couple years ago, so he's not around. Bro. It's okay. You know, it's life, you know, and I've learned to cope and get closure, so it's nice, you know.
That's good.
So I see my little brother Jesse the most. He comes over to my apartment a lot, and he gets away from his home life. So his mom was feuding with my dad when I was growing up, and she's kind of the same way, a little nutty, I would say.
Okay.
You know, so he likes to come over to our house to get away, and he hangs out, and it's nice to see him grow up. You know, he's like for a while I didn't see him for 5 or 6 years since we split, and when I left him, he was like maybe 4'2". When I saw him again, he was about 6 foot. 14, 6 foot.
How did you feel, like, as a bigger brother?
I felt like I didn't know him. I honestly felt like I didn't know my siblings at all, and it was definitely. I felt sad at first because I couldn't be around, but you were able to be.
But you were earlier in his life.
I was growing up for sure. I would babysit them every day after school. My parents always worked late, so I would take care of them for 5 or 6 hours after school until they got home, and it was just weird to have it not seeing them for that long, and they were right up the road, which is insane. And same with my sister. So my brother and sister on that side, she's 18 now, and her and I were, I would say, the closest. And now it feels like I don't even know her at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think builds that gap between you guys?
Well, she's older, so she does her own thing. You know, she likes hanging out with her friends, you know, typical, I would say, teenage girls, you know, and around that age, like, older siblings.
Yeah, you're totally right.
They call me Boomer. They call me Boomer, man. Like,
yo, they're gonna start calling you Unc soon, too, bro. You're lucky.
I'm like, you guys want to go, like, catch a movie, go get some ice cream? They're like, okay, Boomer, and like,
wow. Okay. Hey, but that's okay. I have a younger sibling, too. Yeah, of course. They're always going to respect and, like, understand that, you know, you're big bro at the end of the day, and you've helped them out a lot. But that's just funny to hear because I definitely relate to that, too. I have a sister that she's just like, you're so boring sometimes. So it's like, we've had our fun, you know? We've had our fun for sure.
So I have another 2 sets of siblings, right? Okay. I have a sister, Gwen, sister Gabe. They're both about 13, 14, and they live about an hour and a half, like, west Tampa, like a little further past Tampa. I only see them maybe once or twice a month. That's where my mom lives. They're cool. They're completely polar opposites of my other siblings, you know, because they were kind of raised with money. They have more of, like, a home life. Like, it's actually what home's supposed to feel like, if that makes sense. You know, that's the home I always wished for growing up. You know, that's something I always try and take in. I go and visit my mom for 1 or 2 days, and I just take it all in as much as I can, and they don't know how lucky they have it sometimes. Like, they'll be, my life sucks, all this. I'm like,
man, you don't even know.
Not even that, like, because they didn't have to grow up like I did, which I'm very grateful for, you know? And I'm just like, you guys just gotta just be grateful. Like, you know, like, I would dream for this, you know?
Yeah, that's the beauty of being, like, adversity, of course, and being able to, like, share perspective, especially with the people obviously younger than you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of us definitely could have it way worse, for sure.
Most definitely.
A lot of us could have it way worse. Tell me a bit about your relationship with your pops, towards, like, maybe the last few years or so over time.
So growing up, he was always a hard ass.
Yeah.
He was very strict. and he was very negative, I would say. We had our good moments. So growing up, he would teach me how to skate. He would take me to the skate park here and there, and he was always my baseball coach. I played baseball till about high school, and he was always my coach. That's how we bonded. That was our on the field. That was the best times him and I had together. And off the field, it's like so and so.
Yeah. Iffy.
So once we lost our house around that time, I was 16. I didn't see him until I was about 18, 19. He just went off and just
2 years.
Did his own thing, and he came back a completely different person, just extremely negative. New relationship was literally killing him, and he was just signing his own death wish, I would say. Like, he just gave up, in a sense. Like, he was just deteriorating mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So
was it sorry to not go ahead.
No worries. Go ahead. So him and I, 2 years before he died, got into a major fight to where I just didn't talk to him for 2 years, man. And the last 6 months before he died, so he originally had kidney failure, which led to, his demise. So he was just doing dialysis. It was messing his brain up, because dialysis messes up your mental, which is a shitty part of it, but it happens. And he was being delusional. He was saying stuff he didn't even know what he was saying. And just the worst part was, like, he was pretty big, like, he very ripped, very big dude.
Big guy.
And just from within 3 months, he went from, like, I would say 220 to, like, 120. Bones, skinny dude. He looked like a Walking Dead man. Hair falling out, just like, dude, it was sad. He had nowhere to stay. He had a business fell through, completely nothing, bankrupt. So I let him stay at my place for 3 months. We patched it up, and I just felt bad. I'm like, dude, this is probably the last times I'm gonna see him, in a sense. And
you had already accepted it, almost.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Like, I accepted it in the fact because the fight 2 years prior, he was already dead to me, if that made sense. Like,
yeah.
Kind of
emotionally, you were kind of.
I cut him out. I just didn't feel like he was actually my dad anymore. I just felt like he was just some guy that I would see. It was kind of like the weird uncle, if that makes sense.
Like an acquaintance.
Yeah. You felt like a buddy that will hit you up and you're like, yeah, we'll hang out, and then you never hang out, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that took me. That was the hardest part, was me just being kind of selfish instead of just reaching out to him more. Because he would try and reach out to me, and I just didn't want to hear from him.
Yeah.
And the last 3 months, I talked to him, and we kind of cleared some stuff up, which felt good. And but yeah, he ended up two nights after I had my last conversation. Before I walked out the door, he said, "I love you," and then 2 days later, I get a call like, "Hey, your dad's in the hospital. You dropped dead at work." They brought him back to life, and he was just gone, brain dead for 2-3 days, and then he passed away.
Wow, bro, I'm truly sorry for that loss. That's a very impactful story, bro. It's interesting. It's really great how you were able to at least have some sort of time with him.
Yeah.
Like, just briefly before, and you were able to really patch it up.
Because, like, he was here for me when I first came in the world. Like, he took care of me, made sure I had a place to stay, whatnot, and I felt very grateful I could do the same, kind of paying him back in a sense.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro.
That's the one thing I look at, and he left me with 2 beautiful siblings that I just,
Did you ever lean into anything spiritual at the time? Like, where are you in terms of that?
So, not necessarily. So recently I accepted Christ into my life, So,
amen, bro.
So
that's awesome.
I don't necessarily go to church. I do time to time, but I feel like I have my own relationship with God. Shout out Rocky for that verse, I would say. But I talk to him, and I don't ask him for anything. I just tell him how I feel, in a sense, and I'm like, I even if it's a hard day, I'm like, I just thank you for giving me this battle. Like, Ryder always tells me, like, God gives the strongest soldiers the hardest battle.
The hardest battles, that's right.
I'm like, he's got a plan for me. He's got a plan for all of us, and it just feels nice having that
That source, that
source,
something to rely on.
I remember the night well. I was just sitting in bed, and I don't know why. I was just like, I just started talking just in my room, just out of nowhere. I was just like, I could feel you. I was like, I could feel your presence. I can feel you watching over me, and I just want to say thank you. And I shit you not, I felt this huge relief off of my body. And I shit you not, I was like, he's been waiting for that. He's been waiting for me to, like, actually accept, like,
wow,
him, and I don't know, it just felt good. And since then, I feel enlightened, I would say.
It's so hard for me sometimes to hear that, man. I had this conversation with my last friend that I did an interview with, and he was telling me about his faith and about his experiences. And I also hear other friends outside of these conversations talk about their experiences. And again, like, this is my second time saying this, but I really feel like I'm missing out on something sometimes. Like, that's beautiful to, like, for you to experience.
Yeah.
And I have a very similar relationship with God. I'd say I grew up very Christian, but I'm not like, I don't go to church, but I will, like, give thanks, and I'll have, like, these talks. But man, I feel like sometimes I'm missing out on something that is very spiritual and very ethereal that I don't know. I feel it's hard for me to, like, rely on a source, like, I got this.
I know what you mean.
Sometimes
it, like, I mean, I'm the same way, I would say stubborn. I'm kind of stubborn.
Yeah.
I don't like help. I don't like spilling my feelings. Like, even sometimes to my girlfriend, there's some things I just don't feel is right.
You think that stems from you having to do that when you were younger and having to sort of repress those feelings to maybe put your siblings away? Like, hey guys, like, you had to cool out.
So that, and most definitely, like, growing up, like I was saying, my dad was a hard ass, and, like, I would cry, he would call me gay for crying. He'd be like, stop being a pussy, crying. Yeah. Any type of things, like, Dad, like, at school, like, let's say there's something, like, Dad, this was bothering me. He's like, well, stop being gay about it. So, like, anytime I would try to say anything, like, with my emotions, I was just like, it just had him screaming in my head, like, stop being a pussy.
Yeah.
You're a man, be a man. And, like, some things it is good to where I can handle situations a little better than I would say some do, emotional wise, I would say. But it also kind of sucks because it took me a long time to be able to actually express emotion.
And you're still learning, I would say. I think we're all still learning. Fuck, man, I'll tell you.
But that's the journey, though. Like, life's an everyday battle, regardless if you're having a good day, bad day. Like, we woke up this morning. A lot of people didn't wake up this morning. A lot of people. And I'm just grateful to say I got to wake up this morning and just go to work. A lot of people don't even go to work. Like,
I think about that.
Living. It's nice.
Even a lot of creatives in our fields, they rely a lot on freelance. Even I did. I'm very guilty of it, to where I was relying on freelance irresponsibly for a while. And once I got, like, a regular job, bro, it was just something different about, like, there's something so honorary.
It's refreshing.
It's so refreshing and truly honorary to just have to log in every day and have that responsibility. And honestly, most of all, have a very consistent paycheck.
Bro, that's so nice.
Like, as a creative nigga, like, that.
Knowing it's like it could be a little more, like, it's nice knowing it's like every Friday I'm like, all right.
I was just telling him,
I'm gonna get my bankroll every Friday.
Dude, I was just telling a coworker that today when I was clocking out. I was like, the time card was full, and I was like, that's another check right there. Like, you don't get it until you really struggle with freelance.
Most definitely.
So I absolutely agree. Like, there's a specialty in being able to give thanks and just accepting, like, the process, and just not being a fucking dickhead trying to dick rat everybody and like trying to, like, make your way to the top indecently.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, bro. I love that you're improving that.
I show everybody respect always.
And empathy.
Yeah.
Sure.
I wouldn't say I'm a full empath. This sounds shitty. I don't have as much empathy for humans as I do animals. Because
that's fair.
Humans can more control, in a sense, of what they say, what they speak. Because you could always take a step back and before you say something, before you do something.
Yeah.
You can always take a step back and you can lay out your options.
Yeah.
See what's going on
As a human, right?
as a human.
Right.
Because animals, like, they have the fight or flight instinct.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
We do too, though. Don't get it
Most
twisted.
definitely. But we actually, animals have conscience too, but they can't really act on their actions as a human would. They have no necessary
You know,
thought process.
but I think I want to say the right statistics. I don't want to get fucking flamed for this, but I'm pretty sure. So, 96% of the decisions we make are in the limbic side of the brain, meaning that they are fight or flight induced.
Really?
And the other percent is all like actual decision making. Like, okay, like the way you just said, like the compartmentalizing.
So to bounce off what you're saying, so most it's similar aspect. So a lot of people think off their conscious,
Right.
And a lot of people don't step back to reach in their subconscious.
Right.
That's
Sure.
the same thing.
Exactly.
Your
Pretty much.
subconscious is your secondary. So some people don't even have the voice in their head.
No,
like,
no.
don't
Some
know if
people
you
they
do.
have nothing
You-
going on up
you
there,
know what I'm
bro.
talking
Yes,
about? I don't
bro.
want to sound fucking insane. Like,
No, bro, you're totally on ball.
but there's always a little voice where I'm like, it's my voice. I'm talking to myself, like, oh, like in my head, I'm like, okay, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
But then there's that back voice, like, you could do that differently. Do it, retrace back so you don't fuck it up. And
Yes, bro.
I always listen to that voice more than the first one now, and it's definitely opened new doors and made me a little more cautious of things that I do.
The best way I always put it is too many of us are reactive, not enough of us are responsive. You know, we tend to react to shit rather than respond to shit.
Yeah.
I think that also stems a lot from like how we kind of like grow up understanding like how our parents deal with shit. Cause like, I mean, my parents, like, bro, I would act up and like, I'd get slapped or I would get hit or some shit, like some shit would happen. But realistically, it's like, the point I'm trying to make is, I lost my train of thought here. Fuck. Give me a second. I apologize.
No worries.
Okay. So yeah, like that. So if I were to act up, the way that my mother would respond would be to hit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we grow up under like kind of understanding like, okay, if I get upset or pissed, this is how I'm gonna react.
Yeah.
So then like 20 years later, you find yourself pissed in the middle of parking and you're hitting the fuck out of your front wheel.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? And it's like we tend to like just understand, like we tend to react the same way that our parents taught us to react in a very indirect way. And that's why we have to again learn to fucking respond the same way that you said, like you've had to learn how to like be more open about how you feel. The same way I've had to certainly do it. It's all like, it all really kind of stems from like how we understand things like earlier on, bro. It's so interesting.
The mind is the most complex,
Oh yeah.
biggest wonder of the world.
So yeah, mystery.
Everybody's mind is completely different, which is insane.
But everybody's brain is the same.
As in like anatomy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because mind, I think more of a conscious thing.
Yeah.
But I do want to wrap this up right here, though, bro. I ain't gonna lie, we've been chatting for a while, but this is a really good conversation. I really, for one, appreciate you opening up about just the experience, the sensory experience that you described about your home, like around that time in your teens was very eye-opening, and I think that a lot of people can either relate to it or either use it as something to inspiration. Like, damn, maybe I could be a little bit more grateful about my situation, or damn, maybe next time my parents fight, I could do what BLUV did. I could maybe take my siblings out and like take them out for ice cream or go to a tree, or you know. I think that that's the beauty of being able to tell these stories, is to be able to find ways to, you know, help others cope or figure out a way to really emotionally like out themselves, bro.
Yeah.
We don't do it enough. So,
and it honestly felt very nice to get to say that. You know, it felt good to like explain some situations I've been through. It kind of like it opened me up a little bit, I would say.
I'm glad to hear that, bro. The more we get it out, the more we get to process it and really get more closure. So I really appreciate you.
Very grateful.
Bro, genuinely, thank you, bro.